Hello and welcome to this week's angling vlog. This week you join me out on a short afternoon session. I'm in search of carp on the float. As you can see behind me, we're fishing a beautiful little pool today, full of lilies, and there's quite a few carp in it, but they are quite difficult to get on the hook, and as you can imagine, quite difficult to get out. So we're hoping today to use up a bit of leftover bait and get Mr. Carp on the bank. This is something that I do quite a lot away from the channel. You know, we've got bait left over from the river at the weekend. I will always come out for a short session just to use it up and have a bit of fun. And I thought today I'd bring you along on one of those sessions where we're just using a bit of leftover bait and hoping to get the best out of a few hours on the bank. Before we do get into the fishing, if you do enjoy the channel, please leave the video a like and subscribe down below. It really does help the channel out, and thank you all who leave the nice comments down below. I really do enjoy logging in and reading them and hearing how you're getting on with your fishing. You can see behind me the venue is quite snaggy, so the setup that we're going to be using, I've got to match the venue that we're going to be targeting, so it's got to be strong, and that is why I'm fishing strong line all the way through. The rod that I'm using is the Omega float rod. I've got a switch reel, and on there I've got 8-pound line. Down to the business end, I've got one of the cordon quills, and you can see there I've just got it on with a float rubber, so it's not going to damage the line. I've got it straight on through the eye again, so it's all in line. So if it goes through the lilies, it's all going in a straight line. You've not got this flopping about at the top. That's down to a 5-gram quick change Olivet. That just runs on the line, so again, nothing to break the line or, you know, damage it. I've got a float stop to stop the weight, no hook link, so there's no break in the line. It's straight down to a size 12 hook and a single piece of corn. Nice strong setup that hopefully is going to see us do battle with Mr. Carp. As you can see, we've got some really old bait, mostly casters, a few maggots, some corn that is a bit on the nose, but it'll do. Simple tackle box, and I've made up a rig. And there's 1 or 2 carp just coming into the area here, but fingers crossed we can get a chance. They've come straight in on top of that bait. You can see there's a carp there with his tail up. Looking at that there, we could have come a bit closer than it looks like. There's plenty of carp doing what they did on the other pool, just circling the spot and coming in and coming out, and we're just waiting for one to slip up. And there we go, that didn't take too long. The float just drifted away, and now we've just got to hope that our decisions pay off, because strong setup, but on the 7-pound line, and like I say, all the way through. It's a case of just trusting your setup, and you've got to play them hard in this situation. You've got to really just bully the fish and keep it coming the way you want it. It's not about a prolonged battle at all, this. It's about getting the fish in, and that's why we use the setup we do. So what a way to use a bit of leftover bait. Carp in the net. No better way than a quill on top. Made a bit of disturbance, so we'll put a bit more bait in. We'll have a look at this fish, we'll give him a rest, and then we'll take a look and we'll try and attract a few more in. Only time will tell how much damage we've done, but hopefully that has stirred the bottom up, and sometimes it can attract more in. Let's give him a rest and take a look. And there we go, what a beautiful carp that is, coming on a nice little method underneath the float in the margin. Seeing that tail come up, the float slide away, and a great way to use up some leftover bait. Just rest in the margin and off he goes. A great way to spend a few hours before an evening with the family. The beauty of angling is all that noise just drifts away, and them cars that you hear going past you just don't hear, and you just hear the birds singing and the wildlife around you, the carp mooching about. So in the next spot, even closer to the road, but what a beautiful little spot. Plenty of bubbling in the swim, and it is a lot deeper. It's probably 4 or 5 foot. There's loads of signs of carp in the margins, right close in. When I come, I just baited up you know, the obvious spot there. You can see the ducks have found me spot over there, which won't do it any harm. I do believe wildlife gives other wildlife confidence, so I'm not too bothered about that. But there's plenty of signs of carp around this area, but it is a hard pool. You don't normally get too many opportunities. So it's been a nightmare underneath that tree. It's such a silty bottom, loads of missed bites. Come back to this swim here and just had a phone call off the missus that we're going out this evening, so we might have to come back and visit this venue later on in the week, because we've just dropped in here, much cleaner bottom, and we're doing battle with a carp, and you see they're just playing it really hard, trying to keep it up, its head up. It's a much cleaner bottom here, much sandier, much cleaner bite, but doing its best to get in. So them lilies, you just got to keep the pressure on and keep its head up, and all that stuff that we're using to stop it tangling. You know, the inline float and that strong setup all the way through is what's going to hopefully see us win this battle. Once you can just keep his head up, that's it. Keep him coming this way to half the battle. And there we go, what a result that is. The sun's come out to show it off, and well worth the effort. Underneath that tree it was hard work, you could see the fish coming in, but such a silty bottom, hard to get the bites. Better when it comes on a method that's so enjoyable to fish. So it's a few days later now after that session, and I had some bait to use up, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. I've grabbed the bare minimum of tackle, and we're going to have a go at trying to get a carp out of this beautiful little pool. First really warm day, and the carp all up on top, but hopefully in the hour or two that we've got, we can get an opportunity. So I've put a bit of bait down here, and just going to try and winkle out one or two opportunities. And it is one of those places that I enjoy coming. I don't come all the time, because too much of a good thing can ruin the magic of it, I feel. But just being sat here, the birds singing, there was a woodpecker before over there, it's just one of those places that nobody really comes. Mr. Carp behind that tree. We got one down here, and it's just quiet. And I do enjoy my trips here. Snaggy, but I'm sure if we're careful we can winkle out an opportunity. I'm not someone that throws their bait away. That is the ground bait that we used for the bream last year, and I've had it in the freezer, and there's nothing at all up with that. You can see all the pellet in that, bits of corn, and we've got plenty of red maggot as well. So they're the baits that we're going to use, and I'm going to use up some old bait. So we're just going to drop a couple of balls in, just down that margin, like that. I'm sure if they come in, we'll see the carp come in when they come in on here, because they do like to bubble. I'll put some maggot in as well, and we can see the maggots going down. This is perfect ground for Mr. Carp. I've just dropped a few maggots in there, and already you can see bubbles coming up. So we've had an instant reaction there. It is snaggy, and any carp is going to take some getting in, no matter how big or small. But I was just about to put a few more balls in, but the maggots alone have done the trick, it looks like. So that swim round the back, as you can see, plenty of bubbling, but really silty, really hard to get a bite. In hindsight, it would have been difficult to get them out. You know, there was a sunken tree by my feet when I looked a bit closely. I've come back here, put a bit more maggot in, and there's one or two fish bubbling, in the swim. Much easier here to get them out. You've got a bit of water and a bit of a run up to every snag. You can see there's a carp about. It looks like a nice one. So this is a much better swim, I think, to be hooking them in. But they definitely feel confident round the back. Well, it hasn't taken too long for them bubbles to materialise into a bite. And now the battle starts because we've got snags around us. It's going to probably try and head for each one of them. It'll know exactly where home is, most definitely. You know, the birds singing, the bubbling carp, and you can't beat watching a float, can you? So look at that for the beautiful carp. Dark head, golden, and great fun on light gear, close in. Plenty more coming into the swim, and hopefully we'll get one or two more opportunities. But that is a beautiful carp. So the carp returned. I've just put a bit more bait in there. I think I've made a mistake putting some bait in the back because they're all tails up at the back again. And just dropped a bit more bait over there, but I didn't see anything on that spot. In typical carp fashion, they've done the disappearing act after one of them. All the different types of fishing that I do like this, it's the excitement, whether that's surface fishing with bread or the bubbles coming up as the carp come back. It's what it's all about and why I enjoy this type of fishing. I mean, as an angler, how can you not be excited? And how can you not get a bite? But that's what it's all about for me. And just by resting this little spot, I've been trying around the pool and they really had spooked. Just dropped back in here. It didn't take too long for them bubbles to appear again. So learning the patrol routes, you know, can be half the battle. And knowing this is the way they come can really help, because they will always come back eventually. And this is the last spot as well that gets the sun, so I knew there was a good chance that they'd come back into this little heat trap. So I've said it a few times on the blog about my fishing, and I love just opening the front door and thinking, where do I want to go? This evening it was to use up some unused bait and catch some carp, and what a lovely pool to do it on. Not the biggest in the world, but great fun. And that is what fishing is all about. It's about having fun, getting out on the bank and doing what you enjoy. And tonight I've doubly enjoyed myself sat here with the wildlife trying to catch these carp. Sticking with them tactics, I was rewarded with one more nice carp, one of those wild ones, but later on into the evening disaster struck as I come back with a scale. A few days later though, on the bank, the same tactics proved to work again. And then float tactics that you see on the smaller carp definitely work for the bigger. And that, the same tactics working for the proper carp. Beautiful.